What are these characteristics? What are these absolute pearls of wisdom that I need to have? Number one, you've got to have a common goal. You might want to write this stuff down. You've got to have a common goal. What? Our common goal is we want to win. You got to tell the accounts people how they win. You got to tell the customer service people how they win. They have to see the jigsaw puzzle. They have to see how their bit helps the players win the game. Everyone has a purpose in winning the game. They just win in different areas. This is where your KPIs come from, key performance indicators. What you measure, you manage. What you inspect, you improve. You cannot create a key performance indicator if you can't measure it. You cannot make it subjective. It must be objective. We want you to be friendly. Well, that's not a KPI. What is a KPI is that we send out a customer survey form to every customer and we have to exceed 82%. That I can measure. Number two, you've got to have a winning culture. You've got to be proud and loud. Number three, you've got to have a strong leader. Now, strong is not strength of voice. It is strength of character. It is the integrity of, I will do that walk. I won't ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. It is example, it's not edict. Edict is a baby boomer mentality of I'm the boss. You will not pull that off with a Gen Y or Gen X. Number four, you get 100% involvement. Imagine you're playing football for the St. George Dragons and you go up to the coach and you're about to run onto the field because it's grand final day, and you go up to the coach and say, Coach, I just want to tell you something, mate. I'm only going to give it 60% today. You reckon the coach would be like, yeah, let's go, just 60%, that's okay. You don't go into playing a sporting game without 100% involvement. You want people to be committed. And if you're not committed, piss off. It's just too hard. Number five, you've got to support your stars. You don't create equality. Do not do a communist or socialist view of workplace. I've never seen it work. You must recognize who provides the value and support your stars. It's the 80-20 rule. 20% of your staff give you 80% of your value. Who are they? Let's support them. Number six, flat salaries equals flat performance. Yeah. Now you can do it in every division. I've seen it done in production where they're based team bonuses. It's fantastic. So it's not just in sales. I've seen it in accounts departments based on days receivables driving down. Suddenly, people that are mediocre become menacing. Because why? There's something in it for them. You've got to be careful not to overdo it, but it's important to actually have a generous spirit for increases in performance. Not they expect it, but if they reach a certain level, I win and I want to share some of that with you. Number seven, have a very simple incentive program. Do not complicate something that doesn't need to be complicated. Work with some organisations in corporate, it is almost impossible to understand your bonus structure because they put so many different variables into it. Remember, a 16-year-old has to be able to understand it. One of the great things that Harvey Norman did is we had a very simple commission structure. It was really simple. It was the easiest thing I have ever seen in my life. That every time you sold a product, didn't matter what product it was, they could work out by looking at the sticker the amount of gross profit which is in that, because they could read a code. It was just turned backwards. So if a product had $200 gross profit, it had $200. And what they did is that every time you sold a product, irrespective of what product it was, you got 10% of that. Did it work? Absolutely. Did they do upsell and cross-sell? Absolutely. Did they actually stack it high? Did they sell an extended warranty? Absolutely. Why? Because they figured that I could sell one product or I could sell multiple products. In selling multiple products, I could actually pack this up to make 40 or 50 bucks. So, I don't know if it changes now. I think the internet has changed many things, but sometimes if you said, oh, I'm after a washing machine, they probably wouldn't try to recommend you a Hoover. They might suggest that you need a Smeg or some European brand. Okay, because, you know, okay, they wanted to serve you, but at the same time, it worked. Simple. Now, Good Guys is different. Good Guys used to pay their salespeople 1% of turnover. The problem with that model is, inherently, what do you do first? You discount, because you look at a product and it's $2,000 and you go, ah, shit, I'm only going to earn 20 bucks. I'll close the deal really simply. I'll match anyone's price. You do it at $1,900 and all you're doing is losing $1. The model is inherently flawed because it's based on turnover. If your business is based on profit, can I ask you to do one thing? Make sure your incentives are actually lined up against profit, not turnover. Because you might get there, but they're two different things. Because turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is reality. Number 8, support risk takers. Telling you, give them the space for them to be entrepreneurial. Give them room. Number 9, train them in all areas. Be anal on your training. Train, train, train. Train so much you say they must get it. And then role play. Do adult learning. Don't assume that people know what they're doing by nodding their heads. No idea. Practice makes perfect. You wouldn't fly a jumbo jet without actually going into a simulator first. It'd be horrific. Just take a full load and see what happens. And understand the principle. Training is not a manual. Let's do it. Come on. Bring it out. What? How do you say that? Oh, okay. What's the script? The script's not robotic, just principles. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Make sure everyone has a job description. Make sure they understand the job description. Make sure that you know what their tasks and duties are. Make sure that you ask them to repeat it back to you. Make sure you ask them to sign it. Make sure they completely understand what is meant by that job description. If you don't have just job descriptions or it's changed, go back and re-engage with them. With job descriptions have also key performance indicators, how they'll be measured. And I would strongly suggest, based on many years of experience, as soon as you lock this down, put into their diary right then and there when you issue the job description, their first performance review. Do it in advance. They know it's coming. They go, oh shit. Because here's what happens in most organizations. They start really well, but there's no follow-up. And they fall down on follow-up. They don't do the things that they need to do on a regular basis to form habits. They do the first review, and after that, it's just, oh, we haven't done a review. Oh, we'll get to it. So it just goes nowhere. It really is in a small business. And number 11, you've got to hire passionate people. And last, but certainly not least, is that you've got to make your business, irrespective of size, it's got nothing to do with size. It's got everything to do with how do I make my business attractive. It's not about pay. A lot of people aren't looking for pay. They're looking for other things that they can't get in the bigger end of town. The bigger end of town can be really brutal. It's impersonal. It can be very results driven. It loses its, I don't know, connection.